Dirty Bomb was once upon a time an hopeful title that was a mix of old school with newer elements that can be seen in modern shooters. And it was free to play on Steam. Now it barely manages to hold 500 concurrent players, being abandoned by its developers and awaiting uncertain future. How did such a promising title fail? Well, let's just look at brief history of Splash Damage, studio that created Dirty Bomb. Splash Damage was founded by Paul Wedgwood, a network engineer. One of his notable achievements was his involvement in development of highly popular modification Quake 3 Fortress. People who he had worked with on this mod joined him in his new company. Since founding of Splash Damage, company focused on development of multiplayer components for games made by other game companies. Back in those days, it was common practice for game companies to outsource development of multiplayer to third-party developers. By doing this, Splash Damage managed to turn great revenue and recognition in the game development business. Splash Damage did multiplayer for high-profile games such as Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, Doom 3, Batman Arkham Origins, and Gears of War 4. However, with online multiplayer becoming more and more mainstream, first-party developers decided en large to do their own multiplayer. Company had to redirect their focus in order to survive. They released their first in-house IP in May 2011. This game was called Brink. It was released on PC, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And it was a huge flop. Game's claim to fame was a feature called Smart System. Basically it was a parkour that did however not work properly. In fact, most of the game was absolutely bug-ridden. This was due to them rushing the game out of door, in order to get a head start on upcoming free-to-play game called Blacklight Retribution that shared many similarities with Brink. Even if one could omit bugs upon release, this game had a really bad shooting mechanics, sort of a cone of fire principle, rather than shoot where you aim principle like most first-person shooters have. And lazy and lackluster single-player campaign having 8 maps for 16 missions. Meaning that if you finish campaign for Resistance, then with Arc Security you will play the same 8 maps just in reverse. After this, Splash Damage went on to develop Dirty Bomb. They have learned from their mistakes and created far more refined first-person shooter. There was no campaign, shooting was done right, movement speed was increased. All of this while keeping in mind that this time they wanted to make competitive shooter in vein of Team Fortress 2, while making it accessible for broader audience. At launch of Open Beta, this game offered 3 game modes: Objective, Stopwatch, Execution. Objective mode focuses on one team attacking another defending. Objectives do range from repairing and escorting armored truck to planting bombs and delivering bags into containers. All of this in combination. Usually you have to do 3 prime objectives in succession to win as an attacker. There are also secondary objectives meant to help attackers with primary objectives by opening new route or blocking one for defenders. Stopwatch is the same, except teams do switch and at the end of 2 matches times are compared. Team who did objective faster wins. This is go-to mode for competitive play. Execution was interesting addition. It was single life, team deathmatch, with possible secondary objective of planting bomb or defusing it, depending on your team. Execution was canned from matchmaking system, so barely anyone plays it nowadays. Emphasis in all of these modes lies in teamwork. as Dirty Bomb is a weird mix of class shooter and hero shooter elements. Let me explain. You have 5 classes: Assault, Engineer, Fire Support, Medic, Recon. Within these classes, you have mercenaries. Each mercenary has some unique ability, but within certain classes, mercenaries share certain abilities. Like for example, every medic can revive and heal. They however heal or revive in different ways from each other. For example, Sparks can revive from a distance with Revive Gun, and Phoenix can heal teammates around him. Same principle applies to Fire Support class mercs who can resupply ammo, and Engineer class mercs who are faster at doing objectives. Be it repairing, delivering package, or planting and defusing bombs. Assault class mercs are a bit of an oddball, as they have single offensive ability and not much else. Now, here are reasons why I think Dirty Bomb has failed. First off, Dirty Bomb never really gained such traction as, let's say, an Overwatch. It did not have any grandiose end campaigns. So essentially, not many people knew about this game. There was noticeable lack of interest in feedback from splash damage. Most noticeable example was seen in the infamous Phantom patch, when they added Aim Punch. This single act managed to anchor whole player base, and after they ignored their complaints, many of them left. Card loadout system was another point of contention. Players were not happy with this system of mixing skins with guns and passive upgrades to mercs. The way this system worked was through acquisition of loadout cases, after level up or when it was purchased. With loadout case, upon opening, you will obtain a card that has 1 to 3 passive upgrades, depending on the rarity of that card. It was totally RNG, and in self-proclaimed competitive shooter, this definitely not had its place. Also, cards with less than 3 upgrades were useless. There is limit, limiting you to a set of 3 mercs in a game to swap between. Another thing that seemed to be forced, no other game does this. This proved to be one of the more annoying aspects of the game, as 2 spots for most players were reserved for a medic and engineer. Not to mention, there are some maps that have a lot of indoor areas. You would not be able to use effectively mercs that can call aerial bombardment. So if you did not change them before the match started, you are stuck with them until match ends. Objectives themselves are hard to achieve by attackers. You have to realize that many mercs have ability to do AoE damage and chain them together when they see enemy attacker planting C4 or delivering back. This is really frustrating experience for attackers because doing objectives takes a lot of time, especially if you are not playing engineer mercs. After reading former employee reviews of splash damage on Glassdoor, one can conclude that not all is well in the company itself. Across all reviews, bad ones and good ones, one problem comes out more than others. And it is a mismanagement and lack of coordination between game developers. This would explain why content to Dirty Bomb was added so slowly over the years, even in times of financial stability for the company. In conclusion, it is sad to see failure of title with such a potential because of stubbornness of its creators to adapt to what players want, refusing to listen to feedback while ironically asking for it every time player exits the game.